and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll have a short prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and help us always keep in mind the sacrifices others have made and are making even today on our behalf. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, I wanted to tell you a few things that some people may not know. General Logan, 151 years ago, in May of 1868, issued his famous order, General Order Number 11. That set the date for when we would lay flowers on the graves of those who had died during the Civil War. Now, there's a number of different towns that claim to have started this even before 1868, and indeed someone did. We don't know who that was, but we'd like to thank them for that, and for the Union and the GAR for setting this up, that which we now know as Memorial Day. I would also like to tell you that 155 years ago was the beginning of the end for the Civil War. Grant had taken over in the east and was starting his march towards Richmond. Sherman has kicked off from Chattanooga and is on his way to take Atlanta. Benjamin Butler, not doing so well over beneath Richmond. He didn't get too far. And then you had General Sheridan tearing up and down the valley, destroying the food crops that the Confederates relied on so much for their army. So in 1864, it was the beginning of the end. And there was something else that was kind of important that happened back then. Our camp is named for Ulysses S. Grant, or the Grant Camp here in St. Louis. And 155 years ago, during the Battle of the Wilderness, the Army of the Potomac had always, after engaging with the rebels and Robert E. Lee, turned tail after their defeat, and they went to Washington. This battle, the Wilderness, in 1864 was considered a defeat for the Union, but perhaps it was a strategic victory, because while Grant may have lost the war, for the first time ever, he told the Army of the Potomac to turn south to Richmond and not north to Washington. And such a roar went up from the troops, we hear tell today, that the Confederates thought the Union was about to do another charge on them. So the troops knew what it meant too, that it was the beginning of the end. And that's what I'd like to leave you with today, is that and one other thing. Today, or this year, is the 150th anniversary of our camp's namesake, Ulysses S. Grant, when he became president in March of 1869. So, thank you all for coming out here, helping us to remember these veterans who died, who, at least for some of us in the Union and some over there in the Confederates, these are our ancestors. So, I'd like to thank you all for coming out and helping us remember our families. Again, thank you for coming today, and this ceremony will now shift to the Confederate section of the cemetery.